Hello, good morning, greetings and salutations. How the hell are you this morning? I hope everything is going your way. You know, guys, we carry a lot with us, don't we? We seem to collect so much. We have this incredible capacity to learn. And part of learning is like holding on to things, right? But there comes a time when we have to let it go. You know, um, for the last week or two, I have been going through an adjustment period, right? And I've been on this spiritual adventure. And a lot of the spiritual journey is like nonstop existential crises over and over again. Do you know that worrying won't make your life last a day longer? And I want to show you something. If you think you've got some bad problems in life, I want to show you what's behind the curtain. I am at a hotel in Idaho. Look at that swimming pool. That thing, it's middle of summertime. That thing should be open. It reeks of desperation and sadness and a hint of better times in this country, doesn't it? This swimming pool is a metaphor for America right now. But enough of that. So, over the last couple weeks, I began to question, and that's fine, because every seeker's got to do it. Seek at your own peril, but know this, those who seek shall find, and those who ask will be answered and receive, and those who knock, the door will be open to you. At your own peril, should you proceed. Side effects of the spiritual journey may include derangement, disillusionment, and laughter in manic, insane states on the way to where we're trying to go, only to realize we've been there the whole time. So I'm told. But the funny thing is, you've got to go there to realize you've been there and you are there. Crazy thing, right? It'd be like the caterpillar knowing it becomes a butterfly, but it never goes through the metamorphosis to transform into something so beautiful as a butterfly. So, with that said, last few weeks, I've been kind of coming back to a question. I've seen many signs. I've prophesied things, prophesied, whatever. I'm from the southeast of the United States. We say prophesied because we eat our vowels. We gnaw on them like rodents. But a question I kept coming back to is, why am I in this desert, God? Why did you have me set everything on fire? Why did you have me move, get rid of everything, move it all away, and come out to a seemingly empty desert? Why? Why am I here? Because when you have diarrhea You have to stop eating the food that gives you diarrhea, to quote a guru, right? To quote a admitted self-proclaimed guru that calls himself Sad Guru. So why did I have to come out here? Because, silly, you've got to fast from the world. Fasting from food isn't enough. You got to fast from the world. Because sometimes when there's problems, when there's energetic blockages, everything around you may keep empowering those blockages, refreshing them, keeping them energized. So what you got to do? You got to fast from everything that you know, or the world. Because the world, what is the world but everything that you know? And today, I've had a sleeping problem for a long, long time. It started about the time that I became a mechanic. That was 5-6 years ago. It began around then. Every day that I was a mechanic, damn near every day, every night around 3 a.m., I would wake up. And it wasn't, no, my eyes just opened and I'm awake. It was that nervous system lockdown. It was that jumped up. The whole body just feels so tense and so hot and so stressed all through the body. Here I was at the time before I had even opened the Bible and walked down any spiritual avenues of adventure. Here I was, waking up at that time, and I said, well, this is just part of being a man. You just shrug it off, you put it in, you just keep going. If you're manly enough, if you're masculine enough, if you're strong enough, you just keep going. And hopefully, if you're lucky, the problems go away on their own. And I'm going to tell you something, they don't, guys. They don't. Listen to me, the beginning of suffering is when we hold on. We have energetic blockages that accumulate in like our bodies, our nervous systems. And we hold on to them, and that's the beginning of suffering, however they may come to be. All the other details are about support of the internal work, but I'm going to give it to you simply. The beginning of suffering, of dissatisfaction, of misery, of what makes us feel like crap, emotionally and otherwise. The beginning of suffering is when it's held on to inside of essentially our nervous systems or bodies somewhere, usually the nervous system. That is the beginning of suffering. The end of suffering is when we let go, and the energetic blockage lets go. And you can look into something called somatic, and the letting go. The holding on is all that resistance we feel, that stress we feel, whether it's in the face or anywhere else. All those things, those are our resistances, our holding on, our energetic blockages. And the end of suffering, as I said, is when those give way, when those let go. And the way we let them go is we've got to truly acknowledge why we feel bad. And we can't say, well, I can't say it, I can't acknowledge it because there's nothing I can do about it. You got to do it because it'll improve your life. It'll improve your life regardless if you keep doing things or not. My advice would be to heal, try to stop and go heal, because believe me, no amount of money, no amount of whatever you can buy or obtain is going to compare to how you will feel when those blockages let go. Try it, you'll see. So, and you'll feel them let go. This ain't no guessing game. Oh no, there's a confirmation to it. You'll feel this vibration in different parts of your body, up your spine, down your spine, wherever it's stored inside of you. It'll feel like a very light shock or a vibration. You'll feel it. You'll feel it. And that's the blockage letting go and dissolving. And thus is the end of suffering. The beginning of suffering is when it's held on to, when we hold on to it, when it's held on in the body. And the end of suffering is when it's let go, when we let go. Now the inner work, you got to work on your mind too, and that means you got to learn how to accept things. You got to learn how to surrender to things, and you got to learn how to deal with things and surrender that you're not perfect, and since you're not perfect, your neighbor ain't perfect, so whatever they're doing is going to be imperfect. That means they're going to get on your nerves sometimes. They're going to do downright stupid things, but so are you. Okay? We can only do the best that we can. So I wondered, why am I in this desert? And I asked, oh boy, I said, I'd done everything, Lord. Can you turn the lights off on me, God? I've had enough. Now I'm out here in this desert. I keep making references to Elijah in the Bible because I resonate with Elijah. I understand how Elijah felt. I understood. Imagine doing something incredible, winning outright against an army of prophets led by Jezebel. Imagine calling fire down from the sky on a wet log and on a wet pile of logs when your enemy doused theirs in oil and they couldn't get them to light in the name of their God, but you did it. You did it in the name of God, and fire came down and you won. You showed everybody what's what. By all means, you should be dancing. But I know how that feels. To succeed at something that maybe just to you seems damn near impossible, and you succeeded. Not by accident, but because you tried. And you won. And by all accounts, you know you should be celebrating, but you just don't get excited. And so I come to the desert. I've surrendered to the Spirit. I said, all right, God, let's go on an adventure. I'll do whatever you want. Always willing and ready. I never give you a hard time. Last few weeks, when I was finally had some alone time away from everything, I started to question. I said, okay, I'm here. Now what? Now what, Lord? Why you bring me out here? And here and there were little sparks, but it didn't answer the question. And just like all the prophecies that I receive from God, it always starts with me just saying a sentence. And then a little bit later on, it makes perfect sense. And so I ask, why am I here? I can't ask it enough. I couldn't ask it enough. Why am I out here? And this morning, when I woke up, same kind of waking up that I've been doing, same kind of waking up. It's like I couldn't do any physical labor at all, because if I did, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd feel miserable. And so this morning I had had enough. I had had enough of waking up and feeling that way. And so I sit and I lay in the bed, and I'm just sitting there, just observing my thoughts, saying, God, I need sleep here. Come on, help me out. Help me out something. And now in the Bible, that's all Elijah needed was a nap. It's funny how we can neglect. We need things like naps, right? And so as I'm laying there, I begin to look back, and the urge, the idea to ask myself something. Can you remember when you were happy? And outside of when I would smoke a pack to 2 packs of cigarettes a day, when I was from probably the time I was a teenager on up, I wasn't smoking that many when I was a teenager, around 20, I remember that those were the times I was having a good time. So I realized that, not today, but I realized that part a few days ago. And that just means I was doped up on nicotine and other kinds of addictive chemicals in a cigarette. That doesn't mean I was happy. So it's safe to assume, I can't know, so I can say either way. Well, so I answered the question that came to me. When was the last time you were happy? Said, never. Never. I lived my whole life in suffering. And then came life has been suffering, and at that did the energetic release happen. All through my back area, my lower back, around my stomach, around my groin. At that mention, did all that stuff vibrate. Energy moved. Blockages dissolved. And right after that, after it stopped, just a moment two later, I felt fine. And, I had, listen to me, human beings need more than their material needs met. That is a fact. Human beings have emotional needs, and they have spiritual needs. And those are not going to be met no matter how nice of a house you have, no matter how much food you have in the cabinets, no matter what. If you don't have those emotional needs met, if you don't have those spiritual needs met, you're going to have a healthy body, but you're going to have a miserable soul. That's a fact. Live in a very materialistic world where emotional needs, for the most part, are overlooked, and be damned with the spiritual ones. That's for weekend warriors, by and large, in the kind of world we dwell in. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to tell you this. that it's time for each and every one of us to let go. It's time for each and every one of us to let the old stagnant energy flow on out. And the only way I see that you can do that is you've got to be honest and genuine. And you've got to acknowledge what makes you anything but how you were born to be. Joyful, happy, calm, and peaceful. And kind, and all those other nice things. Life abundant. And then you've got to say it. And you will know. It doesn't matter if it's objectively true to the world around you, because human beings are very subjective in nature. Very subjective in nature. Oh, we've got some objective things about us. Our blood types can't be mixed. Our organs work a certain way. But I'm not talking about the physical. I'm not talking about the body right now. I'm talking about spiritual right now. You have got to, in genuineness, maybe from desperation or whatever, but you got to acknowledge what the problem is, and you will feel tingling, vibrating, goosebumps on your skin maybe. I don't get those, but maybe you do. And that's the energy releasing and the blockage dissolving. And if you want to live life abundant, if you want to live in freedom and walk in the Spirit, you can't have no energetic resistances or blockages, because the Spirit wants to flow. Sorry, alarm. So after that, I felt fine. It was in that I realized something. That I have come to the desert. There has been a way that was made for me to come here to do something. Something very important. I have come here to heal. I have come here to end suffering inside. And the only way I can do that is just like it said, you must fast from the world. And there ain't no better place, as boring as it may seem at times, to do such a feat as fast from the world than to go out in that desert with no distractions, with nothing to remind me of what was, but to live, but to acknowledge what is in here. Because that is the only way. That is the only way that it is going to get better for me. Made me also ponder and wonder. When Buddha left his castle, I'm talking about Gautama, the original, before he knew he was the Buddha, and everyone called him that guy. I ponder and I wonder. When he left his palace, let me give you a rundown. He lived in a palace his whole life. When he was born, his father, the king of a great nation or whatever, was told by old mystical spiritual man that your son there is going to be one of two things: a great and powerful king who unites kingdoms across the world, or he's going to be a great spiritual teacher, master, that brings many universal truths to the earth, to the people of it. And what I'm telling you is that when he left, see, his father wanted him to be the king. That's probably like a lot of dads, right? They see their son and they want him to grow up to be great. To his dad, the king, being a great king and ruler like that, that was the highest you could achieve. But kingdoms come and go, don't they? And as fate would have it, the universe wanted to speak to the people of earth at that time. And so one day, after basically being confided to the palace area, probably a few, whatever, he was bound to basically the palace and the yards of it. He couldn't leave there unless he was heavily supervised. Well, when Buddha became a man, an adult in their culture, he decided, I want to go and see the world. Well, he's inside of a paradise, basically, in the palace and the palace yards. And so him and the bodyguards and whatnot, his attendants, royal attendants, they said, okay, let's prepare. And they prepared, and then they went. And as they left the palace gates, paradise was left behind, because when Buddha encountered what was beyond those gates that he had never seen before, his sensibilities, everything about him, thought everyone was just like him. Lived luxuriously. He didn't even think of it as luxurious. That's just how it was. He didn't know anything else. He was in ignorance. In a lot of his teachings, funny, he talks about ignorance a lot, right? So they leave the castle gates to enter into the world as everyone else knows it, or the real world. And as they're traveling, he's immediately outside of the gate. He's seeing old people. He's seeing sick folks. He's seeing orphans. He's seeing people missing arms and legs. He's seeing people on the streets begging. He's seeing all this stuff that he'd never seen before. And it jarred him. It made him seek. Because why are these people like this, but I'm not like this? Sounds very familiar. My whole life has been spent trying to understand why people are different. why I don't fit in with them. So he sees this, and it shakes him, and he decides he wants answers. And the rest is history as we know it. But one thing he taught was life is suffering. And it made me wonder, was life suffering to only him based on what he saw? And everyone else was this is just life as we know it, because that's all they knew. So how could they know they were suffering? So it brings me to say this. It's in the beholder. It's in the beholder. It's in the one who sees it and witnesses it. Struggle is resistance to what we see as an individual. Struggle is resistance to what we see, while acceptance is surrender to what we see. And I think so many times so many things come in here and get stored in here, and we don't even think about, we need to process that. We need to heal it. We need to let it go, because it becomes very heavy. for us to continue to carry as we go about life. And that's why it's important that when we start thinking that everyone feels a certain way, we stop and we realize something very true, even though we can't acknowledge it fully at that moment because it's in there somewhere. When we say everyone must feel this way, we must stop and first say, I feel this way. And we've got to find that answer to why we feel that way. And it ain't outside. Oh, there's some ugly stuff outside? Absolutely. There's all kinds of ugly things. The news will tell you that. Yeah, prison's full of some people who did some ugly things and people who didn't do things worth getting locked up for. Politics. The point is, when we start to feel something, we need to figure it out inside of us first. To say it like Jesus would. Before you try to get the splinter out of your neighbor's eye, make sure you got the log out of yours. That means before you go looking at so-and-so's problems, before you go looking at anything else outside of you, you need to examine yourself carefully. And the ones who say, well, I don't have anything in me, they're the worst. They're the worst ones. They got it. They got lots of it. He said something about that. Pharisees acted like that too. Jesus had something for them too. Y'all walk around, you ration out all the grain. You love to sit at the head of tables. You love to fast publicly. You love to pray publicly. You love to say, look at me, look how great I am. But inside of yourself is nothing but dead people's bones. Nothing but what the stench of the dead is inside of you. Because that's how much blockage is. That's how much mess is inside of someone who starts trying to go tell other people how to live, what to do, what's best for them. Because in actuality, that person's talking to themselves and they don't even know it. They're a fool. They're a fool. You know, they mean well, but they can't do well. They mean good things, but they can't do good. Not like they are. And those people are kind of asleep. They're unconscious to what drives them to do that. That's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope I helped you out. Hope everything goes your way out there.